Helike went to sleep, believing that morning would arrive, as it always had. Its streets were calm and familiar. Homes were occupied by families who expected another ordinary day. The harbor reflected starlight in the same way it had for generations. There were no enemy fires on the horizon, no warning horns in the distance. No reason to believe this night was different from any other. This was a city at rest. Then the ground began to move. By the time the sun rose, Helike was no longer a place that could be entered. It was not ruined in the way cities usually are. It was not abandoned over time. It was not conquered by force. It was gone. Where a Greek city had stood for centuries, there was only water, mud, and silence. And the most terrifying truth was this: no one escaped, because there was nothing left to escape into. Helike was not a small or forgotten settlement. It was a city of consequence. It stood on the northern coast of the Peloponnese, overlooking the Gulf of Corinth, positioned perfectly for trade, fishing, and influence. Ships moved through its harbor, carrying goods between regions. Roads connected it to the interior, making it a vital link between land and sea. Ancient writers described Helike as prosperous and stable. It was a city confident in its future and secure in its place in the Greek world. Helike was also sacred. The city was devoted to Poseidon, god of the sea and of earthquakes. His temples stood prominently within the city. His favor was assumed, not questioned. For generations, that belief seemed justified. The sea provided food and trade. The land supported the population. The gods, it was believed, watched over the city. Helike trusted its foundations. But foundations are only as reliable as the ground beneath them. In the days before Helike vanished, the region felt unsettled. Small tremors passed through the earth. The ground shifted beneath familiar streets. Animals behaved strangely, restless, without obvious cause. None of this felt urgent enough to flee. Earthquakes were part of life in Greece. Walls cracked, repairs were made, and life continued. Helike responded the same way. The city stayed where it was. Because this did not feel like a warning meant to save anyone. It felt like something else entirely. In the winter of 373 BC, the earth beneath Helike ruptured. The earthquake struck without mercy. Buildings collapsed almost instantly. Stone walls folded inward on sleeping families. Streets split apart before anyone could react. People were buried before they could rise from their beds. But the earthquake was only the beginning. As the ground convulsed, the coastline itself failed. The land sank. The sea surged forward with unstoppable force. A massive wave rolled inland, driven by the collapsing seabed, pouring into streets that had never known flooding. Harbors disappeared beneath churning water. The boundary between land and sea ceased to exist. Helike had no time to respond. There was no evacuation, no organized escape, no second chance. By the time the earth grew still, the city was already drowning. By morning, there was nothing left to rescue. At dawn, people from nearby towns looked toward Helike. They did not see smoke rising from ruins. They did not hear cries for help. They did not see survivors gathering on higher ground. They saw open water. Where buildings had stood, there was sea. Where streets had run, there was mud and debris drifting on the surface. Fishermen later claimed they could see rooftops beneath the water. Walls and statues were visible below the surface, frozen in place. A city preserved beneath the sea, intact and unreachable. For years afterward, Helike remained visible beneath the waterline. Sailors avoided the area. The drowned city became a place people spoke about quietly. It was not treated as a ruin. It was treated as a warning. Helike was never rebuilt. Its population was gone. Its land was unusable. Its location was transformed beyond recovery. Nearby cities absorbed refugees, but Helike itself remained absent. It became a blank space on the map. Writers and philosophers spoke of it for centuries. Travelers repeated the story as fact, not legend. When later generations spoke of cities swallowed by the sea, Helike was always there in the background, not as myth, as evidence. Helike did not fall because it was weak. It fell because it was precisely where it was, built on unstable ground, dependent on the sea, confident in permanence. There was no political failure, no moral collapse, no enemy invasion. The city did everything right, until the rules changed. Helike did not decline over generations. It disappeared in a single night. And that is what makes it one of history's most dangerous stories. Helike teaches us something deeply uncomfortable: that destruction does not always arrive with fire or armies, that collapse does not always leave ruins behind, that permanence is often an illusion we inherit from yesterday. The city did not fall in battle. It did not fade with time. It went to sleep, believing that morning would come. And it never did, because sometimes history does not end with ruins. Sometimes it ends with absence. And by the time anyone understands what has happened, the city is already gone.